I'll make sure like I'm on the last band. Okay.
Hi, David. I'm Emily Gail. Nice to meet you. I'm a show called Emily's Talk TV. Now, Dan Sugar, we talked when you introduced the solar carts at the Mauna Lani Senior Skins. It was introduced on ABC, and you and John gave us a nice introduction to it, and I've been hooked ever since. So.
Right. Well, Emily, you're such a great supporter, and thank you. And it's been such a pleasure to work with the Mauna Lani Resort and other forward-looking companies here in Hawaii that want to both preserve the environment, but also contribute to their bottom line savings by using the energy of the sun to generate electricity. And as you know, what we've been focused on is the larger scale projects that make a much larger contribution and significant savings to the customer's electric bill.
Yes, absolutely. Fast forward. I mean, you had the PV installation on the hotel, the carts, and now we fast forward 2 years later. We're going over to see the new solar farm.
Yes.
Energy farm, and so we're looking forward to it. Dan, welcome back to Hawaii, but your good energy is here every day, right?
Emily, thank you very
Your
much.
efforts.
You know, the exciting thing about this project is this will be the largest solar project here in all of Hawaii. And it's actually larger than all the other projects we've done here at Mauna Lani put together. So it's really contributing substantial savings to both the environment as well as the power bill.
Now, when the first PVs went on the roof of the hotel, though, that at that time was the largest resort installation, wasn't it?
It was.
So incrementally.
And each project
Yes.
is bigger. And that's what we need to do with solar. You know, the technology, it's here, it's practical, it works. What we need to do is keep setting our sights for doing larger and larger projects that make more and more of a contribution over time.
Well, I'm delighted that it's here at Mauna Lani because, of course, I play out of Mauna Lani and I have a
Yes.
special affinity to all the resorts, but particularly to Mauna Lani Resort, and have loved
Thank
watching
you.
them being a leader in it. So
Thank
we're
you,
looking
Emily.
forward to the tour, and we'll get you a little more
Great.
this afternoon.
Mahalo.
Okay, take care. Hi, Michael. Hi, Baron.
Hoping to put everything together. Card on you?
I do. Okay, Tom. No, Susan, come on over here a minute. Tom Leyden, is it?
Leyden.
Leyden.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Leyden. We haven't met Tom, who is works with Dan out of California.
I'm actually on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
I head up the East Coast operations.
Oh, all right. Now, have you been here to Mauna Lani's project in the past?
I've been a couple years ago.
Yeah.
After the golf carts started coming in.
Okay.
I was here for that.
So we were just speaking with Dan about how incrementally this is just growing and growing, and people are becoming more aware. And
Well, it's about time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know, we've been involved with these
Yeah.
issues for 20 years and more,
Yeah.
and finally, you know, people are starting to step up.
Yeah.
And it takes leadership, like with companies like Mauna Lani.
and people like John Crouch, you know,
John Crouch.
in the grassroots, really talking. He 4 years or 3 years ago at the Mauna Lani Senior Skins, I happened to ask John and Dan about the solar carts, and within the first 5 minutes of him talking, I was hooked. It was like, how come I never thought about these issues before like this?
The logic is just extraordinary,
Yeah.
and so it's a matter of getting that message out.
Yeah.
And you know, in order to do that in a massive, you know, meaningful way, we need leadership, both from corporate and our
Yeah.
policymakers.
And on the other hand, also in a one person to one person at a time.
Exactly.
Also, because
That's
when
right.
John is looking at you and he's talking to you, you
It
know
makes a
that he
difference.
knows how he believes in it, and you look up and you say, my goodness, this is making such sense.
That's right.
You become a little more
That's right.
educated. So.
And the next step is like each project at a time. You know,
Yeah.
we're building a pyramid, and each project is a little chink in that pyramid, and you know, people hear about it.
Yeah.
And so what's happening here is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, well, that's what we hope with shows like Emily's Talk TV, where we have an hour at a time, that we can get the message put out coming from all of you instead of little sound bites,
Yeah.
where people can really hear and feel the enthusiasm.
I mean, survey after survey has shown the American people, 80% or more, want solar energy, want renewable energy. you know, we're not getting leadership. And, you know, so I think the message is finally getting through, and, you know, one step at a time.
And where you've had resistance, has it been in the cost measurement? You know, they're seeing if they can, you know, they need maybe a more immediate return, or where is the resistance over the years?
Yeah, the resistance, I mean, it normally comes down to cost, but those costs can be overcome with various, you know, policy initiatives. I mean, you know, the oil industry has been receiving subsidies for, you know, billions of dollars for years, and they still continue to. So, you know, somehow their cost is mitigated. You know, but solar energy, which is the most logical of all energy sources, you know, really doesn't receive the support that it should get.
Well, I'm tapped into a lot of the newsletters that come out of the legislature and Henry Curtis and different people, and so I see how many people are working to change that and lobbying.
It is happening, it is happening, and there's momentum building now. And for the first time in the industry, you're seeing companies like Powerlight that are succeeding, that are growing, that are profitable. You know, it's a new world, and hopefully.
And this project here with the solar farm, going to be used to generate the electricity for the irrigation pumps.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's some sort of alternative to the.
That's right.
The fact that the golf courses are being built, where people might have some question about this.
It's a balance. It's a responsible way to, you know, open up the environment for. You know,
and one of the first places that solar energy is being used for irrigation pumps.
No, I mean there are a lot of emerging country projects where irrigation is powered by solar, but those are off grid. Those are where you don't have power from the utility.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but this is an interesting application because you have power here from the utility. It's fully available, but you know, because of the cost of energy here, the amount of sunlight you receive, this is a cost-effective application.
And because of the conscious people and leadership, as you say, people are having within the resorts, and the people, the decision makers that can change those things.
It took courage for them to step, you know, to sit with us at the table to talk about this issue.
Yeah.
And you know, ultimately they made a business decision, and I think they've made a wise one. And look at the savings.
And who would they be? That would be Riley Saito, Buster Bustamante.
Yeah. The whole, you know, executive team here at the Mauna Lani has been involved with this.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. We're going to have an enjoyable day. I'm sure we're going to get the chance to go on the rooftop and see the original PV installation.
Oh, are we taking you up there too?
That's what I understand.
God,
yeah. And we've been on the roof. Jim and I have the cart maintenance shed where there's 14,000 square feet of
This is
panels.
a little more fun to go on the
and
roof.
But the panels over on the maintenance shed also create the energy that is used for the kitchen over at the clubhouse and for the carts at the golf course.
Power the carts, that's right.
So okay.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Nice talking to you.
And we're here at the Mauna Lani Resort, getting ready to go on a tour of the wonderful solar energy projects that are everywhere at Mauna Lani now, from the rooftop with the PV installation, and then they put in 14,000 square feet on the maintenance shed of solar panels that are used for the golf carts and the clubhouse kitchen, and now we're going to go see the solar farm that'll provide energy for the irrigation pumps of the golf courses.
For the energy utility cost for the resort is $200,000 savings in utility costs per year.
Well, had John come, I was representing my landlord at our meeting at our Kona Plaza apartments, and they said the biggest expense was the electrical. And I went to my apartment and called John right away. I said, have you ever done anything in an apartment building? He said, no. So we've gone up on the roof, we've made proposals to our apartment building. And it would be great to have it be the first building. And John has been great. You know, he's come down and we got those pictures, and a couple days later we had the proposal, and the board has met, and they're here. Two of them are here today to take a look. We got them out here. So that's great. We also took a proposal to Kauai High Transitional Housing. And everybody kind of laughed at it, like, what, 20 years? I said, you know what, it starts with thinking about it. There's going to be more low-cost housing being built in this island, and why not have it used and start integrating the thought. So, Charlene Gu with the Mauna Lani Bay Hotel and Bungalows, the resident manager? Hotel manager. And isn't this wonderful, these projects and the evolution over the last few years of what Mauna Lani has done with solar?
It's certainly grown. Started off with a few panels on the roof, and now I believe we have half a megawatt.
Yeah, and we were just saying, Jim and I first got involved with John during the senior skins when he started talking to us about the carts, and we were hooked. At the absolute logicalness of it.
Right, right,
And we went up on the rooftop of the maintenance shed, and now of course we're going to see the solar farm. But
Right,
as the involved at the hotel every day, do you hear things from the guests who obviously are becoming more aware of how
Yes,
energy
we do,
conscious?
actually, we've had lots of good comments about how environmental conscious we are and how we're using the solar power here, and of course it's very healthy for everyone. So
I think there's a day coming where people are actually going to select their hotels by who is more conscious, and I think there is a little bit of that in people's decisions about where they're going to live.
that's true.
You know, are these communities, even resort communities, what's their consciousness
That's right.
in a community?
That's right.
And certainly Mauna Lani's been a leader in this regard, haven't they?
We're trying.
Well, in many regards, but this is certainly one of them. Charlene Gu, Mauna Lani Bay Hotel and Bungalows, as we all get ready to set out and see the wonderful things that the sun is doing for energy here on the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii, and particularly at the Mauna Lani Resort.
Thank you.
Aloha. Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm well. So I keep seeing your name. You're at OTEC?
Yeah, at the Natural Energy
Oh,
Laboratory.
great. So this fits right in with what you all are trying to
in fact,
do.
we're doing some work with Power Lights.
Oh, are
So,
you?
yeah,
Tell us
we're
a little
really
bit about
excited
that.
it. What we're working with them on is they're putting in proposals to do some PV photovoltaic work down at the NELHA, and they're responding to our RFPs and so for our requests for proposals.
Yeah, great. Well, Jackie Hoover. And Jackie, what's your title over at
I'm the Administrative and Projects
Okay.
Manager and the NELHA Gateway Manager
Okay.
for our new Distributed Energy Center.
Jackie and I have worked together on a lot of things over the
Yes, we
years.
have.
It's nice to see
Good to
you.
see you. I see you jogging every
Yeah, I'm getting out there, getting my own source of energy from the sun.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, well, it'll be fun to see you throughout the day.
Thank you. We'll
Okay.
be looking forward.
We're at the Mauna Lani Bay Hotel and Bungalows, and we're all going to go on a tour today and a dedication of the new solar farm out on the Mauna Lani property. We're also going to get an opportunity to see the very first PV installation they had on top of the roof, which was done about 98, I think it was. But I'm here with Mike Sotero and Roger Nelson, and they're here on behalf of Kona Plaza Hotel, hopefully, or Kona Plaza Apartments, condos,
Right. Whatever.
and hopefully Kona Plaza will be one of the first condos to use solar as they put on their new roof or do some maintenance. But more importantly is that last year John and I approached Kona Plaza, and we're excited because they had enough vision to at least take some interest in it, which is a start regardless of what happens. Taking an interest and being ambassadors for solar energy, and the residential market is important. So you guys got some things to say about what you've discovered about it, irregardless of payoff, but just the viability of using the solar in Hawaii. What makes such sense, doesn't it?
It depends on whether the numbers are real or not.
Uh-huh.
And there's other issues about maintenance and so on that we're not that familiar with, but we need to take a look.
Yeah. Of course, like in anything that's new, just like the hotel did have to take a look at for a long time, but the real plus is when people are taking a look.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. And I know for myself, when I first met John, the very first time I talked to him after the Mauna Lani Senior Skins and when they introduced the solar carts, I was hooked. The minute he started talking, farming the sun energy, I realized I had never thought about it. And so it's the education also that's really important, I think. Aloha. It's one of the most favorite views of mine is when you come down that hill. And can we chat with Jimmy a minute?
Sure.
It's Brian Hayashida from Pacific
Wind Energy.
Yes.
Yes,
And we were just talking about their wind farm down in South Point.
exactly.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was dedicated in 1987, and we used 37 250 kilowatt generator size turbines to produce about 6% of the energy at that time for the Big Island. It's about a 10 megawatt size project, and the Mitsubishi people provided the turbines themselves, which we use for the project. The project is currently being run by Kenny Young and Anthony Case, who have done quite a very good job in maintaining the project and keeping it operating. So we will be going there today with Representative Morita, and I'm sure we'll see a pretty good wind farm that was started in 1987. So one of the generator sizes for a turbine, we have 37 of them, it's 250 kilowatt. And my understanding is all of the panels here is 250 kilowatt.
Yes, that's what the sign said up
Yeah,
front, right.
so you can kind of see that one turbine is 250 kilowatt, we have 37 of them. And all of this here is 37.
And who purchases your energy down there?
One customer only and one only, Hawaii Electric Light Company.
Oh, really?
We are power producers, we are not power transferers.
Okay.
We don't want to get into that business.
And your attendance here today is just the cumulative interest that everybody has in using more natural
But above
energy?
and beyond that, John Crouch, who is the regional director for
John
Powerlight, was the project manager for the Commonwealth project. He did the civil work there.
Oh,
He was with a company there called Wind Power Pacific and Railings.
I remember him telling me that, okay.
He did the actual civil work. So the turbines came from Nagasaki via Hilo, and then he actually put them into the ground. So John and I go a long way back.
Yeah.
And of course he's with Powerlight now, so he gave me an invitation.
And your vision of just using an alternative energy goes way far back.
Yes. Well, as you know, the utilities have a mandate now that 9% of the power that they produce has to come from alternative renewable resources. And that's a mandate because of our reliance on oil. As you know, Hawaii has good sun, has good wind, has good water, but one thing we don't have is oil. You don't see those oil thingamajigs that you see in California and Texas and all that. So the state wants to decrease the reliance on oil.
Now, while that's a state mandate, do you think that there is a vision in a lot of people's minds to get that
No, that's not a state mandate, that's a federal mandate.
Or federal mandate.
Yes.
And do you think inherent in that is also everybody's belief and dream and vision that it'd be even greater?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's with people taking the leadership and having the courage to make those changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because change has to come from all parties concerned. It has to come from government, from the private sector, and everybody involved. Because if the government is not supportive of it, things don't work as smoothly. And of course, if the utility is not on board, then things are very difficult to get done. Because the utilities, by law, have to give power producers like myself a purchase power contract. But it's not stipulated as to the amount they have to pay for the power. So that's the big question mark. So everybody says, hey, you're lucky. You can just get a power contract with utility because they're required by law to give it. Yeah. But if my floor is not high enough, I don't have an economically feasible project. So that's part of the dichotomy and the subtlety of what's going on.
Got it.
And that's why we need cooperation from all parties.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Aloha.
How does the economic feasibility compare with solar power here?
Don't know because I don't know the economics of this project. I just know John Crouch, but I really don't know.
Hi, Aki. How are you? Nice to see you. Good.
Good to see you. I don't know what the economics are on the solar side here. We're going to be doing that with. Okay.
That's Buster Bustamante, from Director of Golf Operations and one of the visionaries with this solar energy going back years ago. One of my great supporters. Thank you, Buster.
Participate.
Good morning. How are you? Hi, Buster. How are you? Good.
Doing all the press work for these guys?
Yeah. You remember Jim?
Yeah,
Jim McRae? We were both introduced to the solar.
He's a little more fancier though now. Remember?
Yeah,
we're
both.
He had a big, huge thing carrying around. Now he's running around with his digital.
Well, I did that this weekend, a big, huge one, and it got down to this. But Buster Bustamante from the Mauna Lani Resort and one of the visionaries with the solar energy. And you all have certainly, and we were saying to Dan Sugar, he was talking about getting resort to learn. I said, you know what? In my case, it was one person to one person. And the knowledge and the information grows, and we take interest in it, and we're like, well, how logical. But most people don't see it as that logical, do they?
No, it's too easy.
I mean,
it's just too easy.
You got a real uphill battle of moving, people's consciousness into this kind of project.
Well, it was so natural, and of course, as we all know, it's energy efficient. Obviously, that's what it creates, but it without being environmentally disturbing. I would have originally, we were looking at this being a wind farm, and it just didn't work for us. So we found a solution to the problem.
Didn't work because of the amount of
because
area
we're below
you need?
the highway. Because we're below the highway, and the environmental impact statement that you'd have to put on all of the property down here, the view planes out toward the ocean, would be a consideration. We didn't want to disrupt that. So, although it was great for wind, and it would have been nice to have that in conjunction with photovoltaic eventually has made so many inroads and changing in the last 10 years, and today you're seeing the kind of power they can generate on such a compact system. So it's really the solution to our problem in West Hawaii and areas where you have a lot of sun.
Well, you've sure been a leader. Thank you. Okay, John. See, how are you? Great. Now, you just, I know you're involved creating a lot of this good energy in some way.
Well, just recently, like I've only come back on board.
Really? So you are back on board? Okay.
Yep.
And, well, you were here when they started the roof project, right? Were you here then?
98. No, I don't.
98, okay.
But I just watched it.
So now with this facility to irrigate the golf courses and the solar panels on the for the clubhouse for the golf clubhouse and the sun caddies, well over half of the energy required to run the golf operation is coming from solar energy. And I think Buster's to be congratulated for that for his efforts. And then I've got chatting too much. Kahu, would you continue?
Well, aloha rokia kako. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us out here to participate in the traditional Hawaiian blessing of the site, which is called the Pikai ceremony. I've decided to do the ceremony in two parts, two phases. The first phase was around the panels itself, mainly because the blessing itself requires us to go to the four corners of the site. And so I thought I'd do part of it first and do a second part, which will include the untying of the maileleis as well as the facility here and everyone that's here. I'd like to just spend a little time to explain about Hawaiian beliefs and Hawaiian ceremonies and your role, your part in this particular venture, in this project here. So if you allow me to just share a bit about that. For one thing, you know, our ancestors always felt that spirit and God was in everything. The land, the rocks, the trees, the mountains, the skies, the sea. And because of their respect of life, spirit, and energy found in everything they did, from building a new home, to a canoe, to a temple structure, or fish pond, it was all in prayer and ceremony, asking those parts of nature to come together as one great spirit, to assist and to guide and to lend their mana, their spiritual power to the success of the project which is at hand. And the whole part of the project was done with prayer and ceremony. And so, in keeping with our Hawaiian traditions, we're all part of this project, and whether you work for the company or for Mauna Lani or are here as a friend or guest, you all are part of this now. The maileleis that we have here represents an umbilical cord, or what we call piko. The mailelei also represents our connection to our ancestors. So when the mailelei is taken apart, when it's untied and wrapped around the post, is symbolically cutting the cord or cutting the piko. So we're here to witness the birth of this project as we give our breath, our life force, our ha, to give life to this project here with the untying of the maile. And like a child, as it grows, we all become the foster parents of that child to make sure that the child grows up, life is not always easy. It has its ups and downs, but we need to make sure that we nurture and raise and bring that spirit, bring that child up so that it can be successful and productive. So we're all here as the foster parents to make sure that everything goes well for this project, for Parlight, for Mauna Lani, using the spirit of the land and the energy of the sun. You know, it's interesting the many parallels we have with our cultures and the way ceremonies are done, such as our friend from India who mentioned about very similar ceremonies. The Egyptians who worship the sun god, who we call Ra. In Hawaii, La represents the sun. And in Hawaiian understanding and mythology, Ku, who's one of the four major gods, brings that sun from out of the east and brings it up overhead. He represents a very strong male energy during the morning part of the day, and then right at high noon, that sun is taken to the west by his wife Hina. So in the understanding of